All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. We want to speak directly to our listeners in Altadena and all across Southern California. Recently, we invited Southern California Edison to join a town hall so fire survivors could ask questions and get clear information about the Altadena Eaton fire and this so-called settlement fund. Weeks before the event, the law firm originally connected to the program withdrew, and we provided SCE updated materials confirming those changes. But despite that, SCE later stated publicly and privately that they were pulling out of the town hall because plaintiffs' attorneys were participating. That was not accurate, and SCE knew that it was not accurate. But when shown documentation that disproved their claim, SCE ignored it and declined to correct the record. At KBLA Talk 1580, trust is not an option. It is the foundation of our work and witness. It is the promise that we make to you. And so we will not move forward with any partnership that misrepresents the facts or undermines the credibility that we have built in love and service to this beloved community. Our commitment remains with the good people of Altadena. We will continue providing independent, verified information to support your recovery without interference from any outside entity, including Southern California Edison, so you don't get burned twice. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
The blackness, keep on. Never say die, keep on. Blackness, keep on. Never say die, keep on.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. Not in Washington today, right here in LA with each and every one of you. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or you can just tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. And speaking of not missing anything, I sure hope y'all come out to celebrate the soul of the holidays in support of the Altadena and Pasadena fire survivors. Monday, December 15th. Mark your calendars. 7 p.m. at Bram Goldsmith Theaters at the Wallace. Join us for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City soul and gospel and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalists, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This is powered by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund. Run, don't walk to come out and celebrate our friends and neighbors and loved ones, our people in Altadena. Remind them that they don't have to go through this holiday season by themselves and that they are with us, and we are with them. All right. And now, with that, it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Maybe it's the good, bad, ugly, and funny headlines of the day. But look, severe weather is no laughing matter. NBC News reporting that severe weather is threatening to disrupt peak Thanksgiving travel period. Severe weather throughout the country is threatening widespread disruptions during what's expected to be a record high Thanksgiving travel week. Now, as somebody who was just on a plane this weekend from New York back to LA, let me tell you something. One of the things I'm most thankful for this Thanksgiving is I ain't getting on no plane. I am not going anywhere. I am staying here in LA for the holiday. I'm excited that we have family that's flying in starting tonight. But one place you're not going to see me this week, at least, is at an airport. But know that a tornado watch is in effect for parts of southeast Texas, including Houston, until 7 p.m. Central Time. Isolated large hail and damaging wind gusts of up to 70 miles an hour are possible. So for all of our leaders, learners, and listeners in Texas, be careful out there. Be careful out there. And also know that a flood watch remains in effect for parts of northeast Texas, as well as southeast Oklahoma and southwest Arkansas, including Texarkana. Did you know that place existed, Texarkana? Where Texas and Arkansas meet. Those areas are forecasted to get 1 to 3 inches of rain. And also travel is expected to be slow across parts of East Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, as well as the Western Gulf today. And so be careful, and also extend grace to, all of the Amtrak workers, all of the flight attendants, all the TSA workers. I mean, this is a tough season for a lot of folks. And so let's just all extend grace to one another. How about that? All right. Moving along, Eddie Murphy, one of my favorite comedians. Did you know that? Did you know that, Brother Andy? Did you know that Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite comedians? Yeah. Now you know. I haven't had a chance to interview Eddie Murphy yet. And so, Eddie Murphy, if you're listening, phone in, pull up. We want to hear from you. We got a lot to talk about with you because they don't make them quite like you. And so, we're speaking it into existence, Eddie Murphy. While we're waiting for Eddie to call, it's important to note that Eddie has revealed the big 3 movies that he most regrets turning down. He almost faced off against Slimmer and Judge Doom, but during recent interviews with the Associated Press, comedian Eddie Murphy, who's 64, I can't believe he's 64 right now, he named 3 movies that he most regrets turning down during his career. Can you guess what they are? Ghostbusters, Rush Hour, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. If you know, you know. I know a lot of people saying, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? What's that? If you are 40 plus, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those are the big 3 that he wishes he would have done. When asked why he regretted not being in those 3 films specifically, Eddie Murphy quipped, well, they were huge, giant hits. The Coming to America star, he explained that he had to choose between starring in Ghostbusters and Beverly Hills Cop, one of the biggest hits of his career. So, look, I guess it worked out just fine. I mean, look, I could not imagine Beverly Hills Cop without Eddie Murphy. Is it just me? I don't know. But all I know is that I'm sure there are a lot more nuggets that Eddie Murphy has to share. And so, Eddie, come to a more perfect union and share them. All right. Finally, Jimmy Cliff, a reggae legend and actor known for The Harder They Come. He has died at the age of 81. The LA Times reporting that Jimmy Cliff, the Jamaican musician and actor who helped popularize reggae around the world and paved the way for future stars of the genre, such as Bob Marley. He died at the age of 81. His wife, Latifah Chambers, announced that the singer's death in a statement shared on social media today, writing that, quotes, he crossed over due to a seizure followed by pneumonia. Additional information wasn't available, but it's worth noting that to all of his fans around the world, his family says, please know that your support was his strength throughout his whole career. He really appreciated each and every fan for their love. Cliff starred in the 1972 Jamaican crime film The Harder They Come and is known for the movie titles Track and other songs, including Many Rivers to Cross and You Can Get It If You Really Want. And so our thoughts are with Jimmy Cliff, reggae legend. May he rest in power. When we come forward, we're switching gears. I am looking forward to being in conversation, particularly today, with an author whose work I think takes on added relevance today. I'm not sure if you heard the news earlier today, but former FBI director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, their case was thrown out of court today. And in what a lot of people felt was an abuse of power. Remember, they were indicted about a month ago. The judge wasn't buying it. And now the Justice Department and the Trump administration is looking crazy. When we come forward, I'll be joined with Mark Shaw. He's a noted historian. He's a former criminal defense attorney. He's a best-selling author. And we're going to be talking about his new book, Abuse of Power, where he connects Robert Kennedy's assassination with the murder of JFK and Dorothy Kilgallen. And he exposes who's responsible and more. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down to eat. Grateful for all who made Thanksgiving complete.
With curbside pickup and delivery available and the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources
42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. As we effort to build a more perfect union.
Oh, I can't hear him.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome my next guest, Mark Shaw. He is a noted historian, a former criminal defense attorney, and best-selling author. His new book, Abuse of Power, it connects Robert Kennedy's assassination with the murders of JFK and Dorothy Kilgallen and exposes who's responsible and who might even deserve a new trial. It is going to be published on December 2nd, 2025, just in time for the holidays. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And I was most impressed with your whatever that was exactly about the second autopsy. He can get a second autopsy, because I can tell you right now, if there had been a second autopsy with JFK's death, Dorothy Kilgallen's death, and Robert Kennedy's death, the course of history would have been changed, because they would have realized what really happened to those people, because the autopsies were very flawed with each one of those deaths.
Well, so let's jump right into this. I mean, and you're referring to the PSA that was airing on KBLA radio just moments ago. Advertising sort of a nonprofit that allows for folks to get a second autopsy when they deem appropriate. But you are a noted historian. You've really dug deep. For folks who may not be familiar, Abuse of Power, your new book, it includes an updated Marilyn Monroe murder probe, and also it really delves into the 2025 JFK and RFK assassination records release with expert analysis. Boy, do you move quick. Talk to us about what drew you in so many years later to focus in on the abuse of power related to these very high-profile murders.
Well, I'm a former criminal defense lawyer, as you said, and so I've always been interested in justice, and I really hope that's a trademark of mine, for looking in justice. Whether when I was a public defender or a private criminal defense lawyer, I was always trying to get justice for the people I represented. And when I first found out about the assassination of JFK, I never believed the Oswald alone theory that was thrown out there by the Warren Commission and so on and so forth. Neither did this famous reporter, Dorothy Kilgallen. And so I pursued alternatives as to what could have happened. And that was most interesting for me, because I was able to go ahead and show that there were more than one person who was involved in JFK's death. Then I was able to show that there was more than one person involved in Dorothy Kilgallen's murder in 1965. And then that led me most recently, which I think is the most interesting thing probably. I was always suspicious of Sirhan Sirhan's complicity in Robert Kennedy's assassination in 1968. It just didn't make sense to me based on an awful lot of the other information I got with the other two deaths and everything. There was something squirrely about all of that. And so I decided to look a bit more into Robert Kennedy's death because I was starting to see a pattern that this Carlos Marcello, a infamous New Orleans mafia don, had the strongest motive to have had JFK assassinated so Bobby Kennedy would be powerless, which is exactly what happened. And then Dorothy Kilgallen investigated JFK's death, and just before 1965, she had gotten too close to the truth, and all at once she was poisoned so that there wouldn't be
Mark, we lost a little bit of your sound. As soon as you open up your microphone, we'll be able to hear you again. But just as you were laying that out, it dawned on me that we have talked about almost ad nauseum the RFK assassination, the JFK assassination, the poisoning of Dorothy Kilgallen, but I can't remember a work that's ever sort of pieced them together, and that has made the connection, or made the point at least, that there's a pattern here that we can't look away from. Talk to us about how you discovered that pattern so many years later. I mean, there's a lot of people who have looked at this evidence over a very long period of time. When did you discover this pattern, and how did you discover this pattern?
Okay, so I hope you can hear me now. Apparently,
Yes.
there was something was clicked down here. Well, it's unique, I do interviews like this, and I have done them on the other books. I've written 7 books now, published 7 books about these subjects and these issues. And when I do this, and I hope it will happen with your program as well, people who listen then get in touch with me through my website, markshawbooks.com, or my email or something. And a lot of them provide me tips. And I will then take those tips and go where where I think there is evidence that is going to permit me to be a person of the truth, of trying to give people no speculation, just the best sources that I possibly can give them, so that we're trying to get the most positive, the most plausible accounts of what happened to these 3 people back in 1963, 65, and 68. So it's a slow process. In fact, I was not going to write this new book, Abuse of Power, because I felt the last one that I'd written, Fighting for Justice, was enough. But all at once, and I'm sure this happens to you with any work you're doing, there's something that clicks. There's something that you can't get out of your mind or whatever. And I thought to myself, this Marcello was a very powerful mafia don. J. Edgar Hoover was really scared of him and never investigated him at all. Now, if he used a patsy with Oswald, and I've been able to show that he used a patsy to set up Dorothy Kilgallen, could there possibly be links that I can find to him being used, Sirhan Sirhan, as a link as a connection into the Robert Kennedy assassination? So it's that connection that I've been able to expose in the new book. And as I say, you can see the 3 deaths then in context of the other 2, and it gives a whole new perspective of what happened way back then.
Yeah, I mean, so based on your research, on December 15th, 1985, powerful mafia don Carlos Marcello reportedly referred to JFK's death. He told a fellow Texas prison inmate, in part, that, yeah, I had the SOB killed. The shocking videotape confession was based on the motive of revenge, per the FBI files released in early 2025. And it changed everything about not only the president's assassination, but also reveals that Marceau's complicity in the death of journalist Dorothy Kilgallen in 1965 and the assassination of RFK 3 years later. And so, Mark, why is it that the FBI has been, had access to the same evidence that you have, and why has it taken them so long to be able to say definitively, this is what happened to JFK and RFK? Why does this mystery, this aura of mystery, why does it still continue?
Well, it's a puzzle in some ways because they all start out with great intentions. There's a task force on government secrets in Washington, D.C. that was established by the President of the United States to look into the deaths of JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King, and even Jeffrey Epstein. And I've been able to communicate with the Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, about their investigation. I sent her letters with all my evidence in it. I talked to her on the telephone about that. Do you think that they have at all included any of that in their hearings that they've had?
Probably not. But when we come forward, I want to hear why you think they haven't. I have my suspicions, but more with Mark Shaw, the author of Abuse of Power. When we come forward, you're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Senator Mark Kelly is defending a video where he and other Democrats urged troops to ignore illegal orders from President Trump.
All we said is we reiterated what basically is the rule of law, that members of the military cannot follow illegal orders.
Kelly tells CBS's Face the Nation the message pushes back against the president. A doctor and nurse at a Northwest Indiana hospital were fired after pregnant Chicago woman Mercedes Wells, who is Black, was discharged early and later gave birth on the side of the road. Franciscan Health Crown Point says it's updating policies, adding cultural competency training. And Portland Trailblazers head coach and Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups has pleaded not guilty in a federal case tied to allegedly rigged poker games. Prosecutors say he used his name to lure players and then cheated them. Billups is charged with fraud and money laundering conspiracy. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Mid-City, LA, 10 eastbound just before Western Avenue, an accident involving a car and an SUV is clearing off the right shoulder, but the East 10, it's continuous delays from Cloverfield all the way to the East LA interchange. Westbound side of the 10 before Town Avenue is a two-vehicle wreck, and this one's clearing out of the carpool lane. You have off and on delays leaving Ontario starting at Etiwanda. 5 southbound at Los Feliz Boulevard, a stalled big rig cleared from the middle lane.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It took less than 24 hours for Cleveland Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski to make up his mind about rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Stefanski told reporters Monday morning that Deion's son will be the Browns starting quarterback for their home game next Sunday against San Francisco. Stefanski refused to confirm Sanders' status yesterday after Sanders, in his first NFL start, led the Browns to a 24-10 win over the Raiders in Las Vegas. Sanders, the Browns' 5th-round pick, started the season as the team's 4th-string quarterback. Things are about to get interesting in Cleveland. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is emerging as the MVP favorite. Stafford had 3 touchdown passes Sunday against Tampa Bay, bringing his total to 30, tops in the NFL. The 37-year-old Stafford has thrown 27 consecutive touchdown passes without an interception. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. We want to speak directly to our listeners in Altadena and all across Southern California. Recently, we invited Southern California Edison to join a town hall so fire survivors could ask questions and get clear information about the Altadena Eaton fire and this so-called settlement fund. Weeks before the event, the law firm originally connected to the program withdrew, and we provided SCE updated materials confirming those changes. But despite that, SCE later stated publicly and privately that they were pulling out of the town hall because plaintiffs' attorneys were participating. That was not accurate, and SCE knew that it was not accurate. But when shown documentation that disproved their claim, SCE ignored it and declined to correct the record. At KBLA Talk 1580, trust is not an option. It is the foundation of our work and witness. It is the promise that we make to you. And so we will not move forward with any partnership that misrepresents the facts or undermines the credibility that we have built in love and service to this beloved community. Our commitment remains with the good people of Altadena. We will continue providing independent, verified information to support your recovery without interference from any outside entity, including Southern California Edison, so you don't get burned twice. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to be in conversation right now with Abuse of Power author Mark Shaw. He is connecting the dots for us between some of the highest profile murders in American history. I'm talking about John F. Kennedy. I'm talking about Robert F. Kennedy. I'm talking about Dorothy Kilgallen. And there's a lot of evidence out there, in my view, sitting in plain view, but it seems that Mark has been able to string it together perhaps faster, more effectively than even leaders in the FBI and in the intelligence community. Why is that, Mark? Oh, Mark, we need you to unmute.
You've hit on the relevance. People may be asking, why are we worried about what happened 60 years ago or whatever? Well, this is the relevance. Because back then, the wrong questions or no questions were asked about what happened. And in this situation, what we have now with this task force in Washington and other so-called experts and everything is they have again settled on the Oswald alone CIA, conclusion with regard to these deaths. And when that happens, then, as you know, with issues, important issues that I've heard about just listening to your program now, those people who don't agree with that, they just ignore the conclusive evidence on the other end. And that's what's happened. You just talked about the Carlos Marcello confession. The whole confession was, yeah, I had the SOB killed. I'm glad I did. I'm sorry I couldn't have done it myself. Now, that is the most important document about the JFK assassin investigation in history. But it is being covered up because it doesn't go along with the so-called experts in Washington, D.C. and others across the country. And I found it. It's been out in plain view for a long time. But for whatever reason, they don't want to let the American people know the real foundation of where all the research should come from, and that is this confession. So that's what's sad about this, because you're a man of the truth, and so am I, and it's very frustrating when those in power abuse that power by not providing the American people with all of the evidence, but only the evidence that they want them to hear.
Mark, let's talk a little bit about, just sort of your interest in investigative reporting. For folks who may be a little less familiar, you've published more than 30 books. You are a former criminal defense attorney and an ABC trial analyst. You have analyzed the trials of Mike Tyson, O.J. Simpson, and Kobe Bryant, among so many others. What is it about these criminal cases that still continues to sort of draw you in, whether we're talking about cases in current times or cases like the ones of JFK, RFK, and Dorothy Killigan?
I think it's a curiosity on my part. I've always had that curiosity, and I have not accepted what the government says about any of these cases, and that's what your audience should not do. Whatever comes out of the government, ask the questions, do your own research, and all of that kind of thing. Because I've always been enamored too with true crime murder mysteries, and we have 3 or 4 of them that we look at in this particular book. So I think that's important, and that's kind of the relevance of all this. But it's that curiosity, and I use the example of when I finally realized that this Carlos Marcello had a pattern, had a modus operandi with regard to how he silenced JFK, Dorothy Kilgallen, and Dorothy Kilgallen. Did he do the same thing with Robert Kennedy? And I started to look into that, and I was able to connect Marcello into what is in the book is Sirhan was a young man out in California, Southern California. I was able to find an eyewitness who knew him at Santa Anita racetrack. And he said, and it's a videotaped interview with this man. He said, this kind of meek looking young man came into the stables there and said, I need a job. And I said, well, all we have is a hot walker, which means you walk the horses after they've been racing and everything. And he said, it only pays $200. And the guy said he would take it. Well, that was Sirhan. So then we looked down the road. I thought, what can we find out about Sirhan that connects him to Robert Kennedy's death? Because it doesn't make any sense. And I was able to go ahead and show that just shortly before Robert Kennedy was killed, this gentleman was at Hollywood Park, and he saw Sirhan in the accompaniment of 2 men, one on each side of him, kind of controlling where he was going. He was wearing a brand new suit, even though he was unemployed. And it looked to this man like something was up with regard to that. He was very suspicious of it. So when Sirhan died on LA stations, there was a photograph of the mugshot of Sirhan, and it said, "Do you know this man?" So what did apologize. I see now. He called the authorities and Hollywood Park and knew that they would get in touch with the LAPD or the FBI or whatever and get back in touch with him so he could tell them what he knew about Sirhan. They never got in touch with him because the authorities many times, as you know, with homicides, whatever it is with regard to a crime, When they have landed on somebody, the only thing that's important for them to do is clear the case. That's a term that I always knew when I was a defense lawyer. Just clear the case, get it off my desk. So he never heard from them, this man. And then he and his wife, for the next year, when they would pick up the telephone, they would hear a click. So obviously their phone calls were being tapped. So that was what was amazing to me when I found out about all this. And then I was able to go ahead and link Sirhan to a West Coast mafioso named West Coast mafioso, a friend of Marcello's, who knew the workings of the Ambassador Hotel, and so on and so forth. There's new forensic evidence in the book about how in the world that Sirhan could have shot Robert Kennedy because he was standing behind him. There's no way he could have shot him because the wounds, the fatal wounds and everything, came from the back. Those were on the shoulder and the neck of Robert Kennedy. And he was in front of him. So it just doesn't make sense that way. But you see, when we have this problem today, it drives me crazy, and you know it, with regard to an awful lot of issues, whether they're black issues or Asian issues, or they're white issues, or whatever. Unfortunately, the police mentality and the people in Washington is to say, okay, yeah, we'll listen to you, but we're not going to do anything about it. And that's what I've been frustrated with. Hopefully, abuse of power will trigger an awful lot of people saying, hey, we need to ask questions now. We need to look at Mark Shaw's research, agree with it or not, but really think about asking questions about what happened back so long, and do that today. Because if you don't ask the questions, there's nothing you can gripe about.
Wow. So, I mean, this is pretty amazing. Essentially, you're saying that Sirhan is not accountable for the 1968 assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. And in this book, you refute the HHS secretary's theory, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s theory, that his father's murder was linked to the CIA. Backed by shocking new evidence in this book, you expose the real mastermind. You say it's one of the New Orleans mafia dons, Carlos Marcello. And so, talk to us about how JFK and RFK got entangled with this don, with the mafia. How did they get entangled with the mafia? And what did they do to sort of piss off the mafia don to the degree that they assassinated them?
Well, I'll tell you, you're so observant, because yes, you need to know that. And here's what happened. When I first got involved in these books regarding the JFK assassination, I wrote a book called The Poisoned Patriarch about Joe Kennedy. So if you go back to the 1960 election, Joe Kennedy, here's what he wanted to have happen. He wanted to be president, but he couldn't because he made friends with Adolf Hitler during World War II when he was ambassador to England. Then it was going to be Joe Kennedy Jr., but he got killed in the war. So now it's going to be JFK, Bobby, and Ted, a dynasty of Kennedys. But right before the 60 election, Joe knew for sure they were going to lose that election to Richard Nixon unless they won Illinois and West Virginia. So Joe had been involved with bootlegging and other illegal activities, building his empire. He called in some help. Marcello, Sam Giancana, Trafficante, others, and promised them if they would help them win those states, they would leave them alone when they got in the White House. All right? That's exactly what was going to happen. But there was a double cross. And what Bobby Kennedy did when he became Attorney General was he went after these guys, including Marcello, who he went ahead and illegally detained at an immigration office in New Orleans, sent him to the wilds of When he got back to the United States, he vowed revenge against Bobby Kennedy. He wanted to kill him, but he knew if he eliminated Robert Kennedy, Jack Kennedy would come after him with everything the government had. So you eliminate Robert Kennedy, you eliminate Jack Kennedy so that Bobby Kennedy will be powerless. That's exactly what happened. Bobby Kennedy never went after Marcello or anybody else. Now, what I was able to do then is to stretch this into the death of Robert Kennedy in 1968, again, based on motive. Why? Because Marcello knew that Bobby Kennedy knew that Marcello had orchestrated his brother's death. So what's going to happen? Bobby Kennedy is now running for president. And as it gets close to 1968, he won the California primary, and it looks like he's going to get in office. And Marcello is a very smart man with $1 billion empire. He knows that Bobby Kennedy, first thing he'll do, and I have substantial evidence about this, the first thing he was going to do was come after Marcello. Well, he can't let that happen. So he has to go ahead and figure out how to orchestrate Robert Kennedy's death using a patsy like Sirhan, just as he had used a patsy like Oswald with the JFK assassination. I hope that makes sense, because I like to use common sense, logical arguments in terms of what happened. But I'll tell you one thing I'll show you too that is most important to this. This is a book called The Enemy Within. It was written by Robert Kennedy just after he became Attorney General. Okay, now you talk about motive with regard to some people hating you. Here's what he wrote. The mafia, they have the look of Al Capone's men. They are sleek, often bilious and fat, or lean and cold and hard. They have smooth faces and cruel eyes of gangsters. They wear the same rich clothes, the diamond ring, the jeweled watch, the strong, sickly, sweet smelling perfume. Now, can you imagine when those dangerous mafioso read this book, find out about this book and everything? I mean, they probably wanted to kill Bobby Kennedy right then, but they had to wait to see what was going to happen. When he decides to run for president, it looks like he might win. He is a dead man for sure.
Based on Mark Shaw's nearly 15 years of extensive research, Abuse of Power, his new book, available everywhere books are sold starting December 2nd, it exposes for the first time the connection between the assassinations of John and Robert Kennedy and the mysterious death of famed journalist Dorothy Kilgallen. That story is strung together in a way that I certainly have never heard before. I'm on the edge of my seat listening to Mark connect these dots. And so I can only imagine the experience reading this book. When we come forward, Mark, I want you to stay with us just a little while longer. Today was a big news day. It was a big news day. And, you know, the U.S. Department of Justice didn't look too good today. The Trump administration also didn't look too good today. A judge dismissed cases against James Comey, the former FBI director, and New York Attorney General Letitia James after finding prosecutors unlawfully appointed this grand jury. We're going to talk about that and more when we come forward. It's time for the quiet part out loud. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
In California, all workers have rights, no matter their immigration status. If you or a family member were detained by federal immigration authorities and did not receive your final paycheck, contact the Labor Commissioner's office. You can file a claim even if you left California or the U.S. Call 833-526-4636 from the U.S. or outside the country 001-833-526-4636. Document wage theft and report it to the Labor Commissioner's office.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next,
And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
In our remaining minutes with Mark Shaw, author of Abuse of Power, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to respond to some of the day's biggest headlines. NBC News reporting that a federal judge dismissed the criminal indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, finding that the prosecutor who brought the case, former Trump attorney Lindsay Halligan, was not lawfully appointed. In any other era, this would be a major embarrassment for the Justice Department. This would be a major embarrassment for any administration. Should the Trump administration be embarrassed by this?
All more than embarrassed. And it happens time and time again now with regard to the fact that, I was talking about this task force, and they were supposed to be advising the public for greater transparency and everything. This administration talks about greater transparency all the time. And then they just turn their back on it. They don't believe in the rule of law. They absolutely go ahead and do whatever they want to because of the dynamic out there, okay? Now, they've ruined the reputation of Comey and Letitia James and so on and so forth by all of these allegations because an awful lot of people either won't read about what was done here or they will think, well, come on, this didn't have anything to do with what they did. It's something about a lawyer or a prosecutor or something like that. It's the same thing with the Jeffrey Epstein case. And this task force not wanting to touch that, because I go back again to the situation where you get a conclusion of some sort, and then you make everything fit into that. Now, I noticed that the dismissals today of Comey and Letitia James are without prejudice. What that means is that these charges can be filed again. So I'm betting that they are probably up all night tonight figuring out how they can go ahead and file these charges, because I was just told with Comey, there is some time limit that they have to be able to file the charges. But I guarantee you, they will not go ahead and be embarrassed by this. They don't care. They'll just go ahead and figure out a way to be able to refile these charges. I even saw today, you probably did too, where a number of Democratic senators and congressmen put out a video telling the military not to go ahead and abide by illegal actions. Okay, that's just plain common sense. And yet now they're talking about indicting some of those people, including Kelly. I can't think of his first name, but Kelly,
Mark Kelly.
Mark Kelly, who's a awarded bravery man who served his country in the Navy, I believe it was, and everything like that. They're thinking about indicting him, for heaven's sakes. But what happens is with these cases, they get involved with them so they can divert anything else that's going on within the administration. But it's starting to catch up with them, and people have to ask the questions and take action on their own. That's for sure.
That's right. The Pentagon has announced today that it's investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona over possible breaches of military law after, to Mark's point, the former Navy pilot and a handful of other lawmakers in a video call for troops to defy illegal orders, not defy every order, defy illegal orders. And so much more for us to continue to keep our eye on. Our thanks to Mark Shaw. He is the author of Abuse of Power. You got to go out and get it. It connects the dots between the JFK, RFK assassination, and of course, Dorothy Killigan, the journalist who was poisoned as she was pursuing justice. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Again, the website is markshawbooks.com. Send me an email and I'll get back to you for sure.
Absolutely. Our thanks to Mark and all of our guests today. Our thanks also to our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer extraordinaire, Brother Andy, to our show producers, Faraji, Art, and Journey, and of course to each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.